that's the funny thing. When I was in school, I didn't think of myself as being popular. I think definitely there are other people there who knew more people who were more outgoing. I was really introverted.
Okay.
Device was, I don't want to say unbeatable, because Oscar had moments where he was just feeling good against Device specifically, but when you're rifling, you can't do much about Device holding you.
What's going on, guys? It's Under the Scope, episode 5, and I've got Martin Styk with me, professional player, not retired, in case people think that. Also, amazing YouTuber, does some coaching on the side, and now an analyst.
Oh yeah.
Just for a couple of events, just trying everything at this point.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I wrote here, do you want to do my job? But you've already done my job.
Did I?
What do you mean, did you? You were a journalist for Grunex? Yeah.
No, that
You interviewed Neo, Alu during EMS 1 Katowice 2014?
That's a pretty funny story, actually.
Okay.
I didn't do that because, well, I did that, but I did that out of pity.
I didn't do that, but I did that. So you did do it, so I am right.
It's not like I got paid for it or anything. I went to Katowice as a fan.
Yep.
And there was also a Czech kind of community going there when it comes to doing interviews.
Okay.
And they were going there just to recap the event.
Yep.
But once we got access everywhere, and I was their friend, they got me access everywhere to press area.
Oh, nice.
And I said, while we're here, why are we not interviewing people? Like, they're available to interview.
Yep.
And they said, we would do it, but we don't know English. And I was like, okay, give me the t-shirt, I will do it. And then I just sat down and I'm like, Neo, yo, can you come here for a second? I did with Karn as well from Fnatic.
Nice.
And I think I did one more, I'm not sure who.
Well, I also had on here Alu, and then later on, this is another one, you interviewed Guardian for a HLTV.
That was pretty fun as
You
well.
swapped for a HLTV journalist? Did he just feel sick or something?
No. I was
Okay.
like, we were at the event in Mexico.
Okay.
And
that was the ECS, right? Yeah.
ECS finals in Cancun. And it was just pretty laid back event. There were just, I believe, 8 teams, and Guardian, they made it out of the group, and I was watching the game.
Yep.
And I was together with HLTV guys there, and I was like, should I interview Guardian?
Which HLTV guys? Are they still there now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was either Striker or Prof. But
Okay.
I'm not sure if Prof was in HLTV at that point. It was definitely someone I was close with, and these two guys are.
Nice. All right, well, I'm jumping very far ahead. I just thought I'd throw that in there because that's a fun start to this, the fact that you really have you ever commentated? So I didn't find any information on that, but did you commentate?
Officially not like an event that I was in the arena or something like that,
So he's never done commentary. Maybe he wants to go and take that as well, because you seem very adaptable, like you can do it all. But what I want to start with is just for you growing up. So you're 28 years old now. You've had a career which I would say has had a lot of longevity in it. You've had ups and downs. You've had highs, then a little bit of a slow point into highs again. But how was life for you growing up? Where did you grow up to start off with? Were you in Bratislava, or whereabouts were you?
So I'm from a smaller town in the middle of Slovakia, Banská Bystrica. I grew up there. I had my whole childhood there.
Nice.
I still live there.
Oh shit, you're still around there. Nice.
Yeah, and,
you never left?
I left briefly for Bratislava when I was there for university. But
that makes sense, yeah.
I quit after 1 year because of the schedule, and I also got the offer in Hellraisers to play for my first professional team. It was just kind of impossible to...
We're going to come on to that later. We're going to stay. So how I do is we go on a little timeline. So we're going to stay on the young part.
So let's start with a young me.
So baby, Styko, out here, having fun, living life.
Yep.
This small city, how many people were in it?
That's a good question. It's not much.
Roughly.
It's like 70K, I would say.
Okay, so it's not tiny. It's not like a village.
It's not like everyone knows each other. It's a solid city, but at the same time, it's kind of rare where you compare it to PC games. You know, there's not like community of gamers. So when it comes to school, I was always doing pretty good.
You're jumping ahead again. You'll see, look, he's very good at this content.
How is he? How are we skipping ahead? Like,
I need to first ask about family. Like, did you grow up with brothers and sisters?
I do have a sister, yes.
You have a sister, older or younger?
She's older by, I think, 7 years.
Okay, so that's quite a gap between you two.
Yeah.
Did you spend much time living together, like obviously for the early part, but then she left early?
Yeah, I've been living with her in the same household.
Okay, nice.
And yeah, we fought each other a lot. We didn't like each other.
Yep.
Classic, you know.
Brother and sister, yep.
Yep. And
are you similar in any ways?
Not much.
Not
I
really?
wouldn't say so. No.
Okay.
I think very different. But at the same time, as soon as she left, our relationship got so much better.
Yes.
And
I have 4 sisters, so I can understand you.
Yeah, you can. It's a rocky at the start, especially when you just don't understand what's going on. Getting mad for nothing. But now it's a very good relationship, I would say. We see each other just a few times a year because she lives in Prague.
Okay.
But it's a good relationship. She just had the second kid, so I'm an uncle.
Nice. No kids of your own just yet?
No.
No yet. Still focusing on the playing. Don't want a kid that can maybe make that a lot harder.
It's not about him making it harder. It's like me
having the time, right? Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so now we can look at a bit of school stuff.
Okay.
I think, like from what I've read and what I understand of you, you're very hard working, but you have an analytical, maybe strategical brain on a lot of things. So I would assume you were pretty good at school. But if I'm talking about early school, like when you're a kid, before you become a teenager, how was that for you?
Okay, so little backstory is here that I wasn't that hardworking back there. It kind of, I learned this skill, I think with gaming actually, to be a hardworking guy. But when I was in school, I was naturally doing good when it comes to certain subjects. Certain were good, certain weren't that good.
Yep.
But I was in like a special class of kids who are having like above average intelligence tests, whatever it is.
So you definitely were good,
It was not like, I wouldn't even say that we were like a group of 10 kids, right? It's not like we were hardworking per se, but it was just very easy for us to learn compared to other kids. It was easy for us to focus, I would say.
Yeah.
And so I ended up in this group. I wasn't best by any means. I was like a kind of average, I would say. And it naturally moved away from me, I think. I lost this talent of being able to be good at school because I was kind of focusing more on things that I like, and that was either games or sports that I do besides school.
Yep.
It was like I wasn't coming home and doing a homework. Like I was doing as little of that as possible to the point where I was just trying to avoid it, and I was just finding an easy way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it came to be. After elementary school, the high school came.
Yep.
And that's when I landed in like kind of average class.
Okay, so you went back to what was normal.
And without trying, I was doing pretty good.
It's hard, right? If you don't try and you're doing good, you think, hell, I can just keep going like this.
It helps definitely because, well, I didn't need to study at home. I didn't need to tell my parents, right, that we have an exam, and they told me to study because I was showing decent results without studying. So
and they were happy with you, right? So that's good.
And that gave me so much more time to actually play games as well, which is something that I was always finding fun. It's not like I was playing CS competitively back then, but I was already finding my niche kind of. I was understanding that, okay, I really like, for example, strategic games, shooters, etc.
But you didn't like shooters at first?
No, I did not.
No.
It was.
Before I continue with the game and stuff, then I want to ask, in school, would you describe yourself as popular? Did you have a lot of friends? Did you just get on with everyone? Because when I look at you and how I meet you is, you're friends with a lot of players, you're also friends with a lot of the talent. You even just said you're friends with HLTV guys, so you make friends.
I think I was definitely getting along with pretty much everyone in the class.
You don't seem like a problem.
Yeah, it's like, that's the funny thing. When I was in school, I didn't think of myself as being popular. I think definitely there are other people there who knew more people, who were more outgoing. I was really introverted.
Okay.
But then when I left the school, and then we were kind of meetups, and we were kind of remembering the old days, everyone was saying, oh, you were popular, everyone liked you, and you knew everyone. I was like, no. I was like,
you might have not seen it like that, but I guess from the outside, right? If people are liking you, and in general, other people like you, even if you're not talking to them, people are just going to think, well, he's just good with everyone, you know, so he is popular.
Maybe. It's hard to say from me, but I feel like I definitely could have made more friends in high school. It's like I'm meeting some people right now, and they're saying, oh, we were, I don't want to say the classmates, but we were like next class, and I'm seeing their face for the first time. I legit don't know their name, and
but I'll tell you this: you said you'd like to make, like, it would be nice to make more friends at school. I wouldn't say popular, but I had a lot of friends, and like now, 80% of them you don't talk to. You don't like. Obviously, my career choice is part of that, but also you just drift apart as you get older. Especially when you get to like the late 20s, early 30s, you have like a smaller, dedicated group of friends, I think.
I think I niched down to gaming way too early.
Yeah.
Which I don't consider it a bad thing, because thanks to that, I actually made a career out of it. But it was hard for me to relate to a lot of people who did not play games, and that was pretty much the majority of kids my age. So.
Because especially for our age, right? Okay, I'm 34, so it's a little bit older than you. But when you were the first generation of gamers, it was a bit more of the outcast compared to like now. When I go look at my son's school or even my little brother's school, everyone plays games. They all talk about games. It's a normal thing, just like sport is with it. But you said this: you played strategic games when you didn't like shooters at the time.
Yeah.
And for you, this was an escape from reality from school. I wanted to just ask, why did you want to escape from reality? Was it just like some time away from it? Was there something bad happening?
Not really. I think it was mostly the fact that the competitiveness was there. You know, there was something, even if I was playing single-player games, right, strategic ones.
Yeah.
There was the sense of progression or perfection or making sure that I can do better. Yeah, it was more challenging than school, I feel like.
Were you competitive in school in terms of sports?
Yes,
Okay.
especially at beginnings.
So you had that inside you.
Yeah, I was playing tennis fairly extensively when I was a teenager, and I had to stop because of an injury, back injury, and that is when it really skyrocketed for me. Like I had suddenly so much more time because I was training pretty much every other day, so it was really like I was really good at sport, and especially tennis.
Look at him, he's just really good at everything. He's right.
Tennis is like a fourth sport that I've tried. All three before that, I don't even remember. Like football.
We have to find your one. Yeah.
It gets. It's funny that it was the first solo sport that I tried, and I liked it immediately. And then in the end, I didn't even end up playing a game that is like a solo, like a StarCraft. Or
Yeah.
I came back to competition when it comes to team. But yeah, tennis was the one, and because of injury, suddenly a lot of time. This is cliche, right? Everyone is playing sports, have an injury, start become a gamer. Happened to me.
Okay, so you started with strategic games, though, right? You mentioned StarCraft, but what strategic games was it that you were playing at this time? What was can you remember your first game?
It was like this kind of simulators when you run like a tycoon park, whatever.
Oh
thing.
yeah, like roller coaster tycoon and things like that. Yeah.
So you are. It's not strategic per se, but then Age of Empires.
No, but you had to be strategic in roller coaster tycoon.
Yeah,
if you want to make success of the park, right? You had to be like, okay, I'm going to place this here and put this here and get more people on here, make the queue nicer.
As a thing for strategic, I mean that it makes you think.
Yes,
exactly.
Exactly.
Makes you optimize a lot of things, and this is what I took very much throughout the majority of my career. Where
dude, I would love to see one of your places.
I'm optimizing way too much.
Yeah, I wish we could go back in time and see how organized because even on your background of your stream, for example, right, and on your YouTube videos, it's super organized. You're very on time. When he's here, he's always very punctual, never late. I was late for filming this. He was on time. See, look, you thought I was going to say
I'm leaving my room, and you're just getting into the room.
I was finishing breakfast. You went for breakfast at 7 a.m.?
7 a.m.
He's very regimented, we're going to learn throughout this whole video, because 7 a.m. you go for breakfast, then you go back to sleep. So you're there at the breakfast when it opens. Yeah. Then you go back to sleep. But then you're prepared always got notes and stuff ready. Like, I think the difference between me and you is, when did you prepare last night? Or did you prepare this morning?
No, I prepared last night, but it was very rushed because I stayed late after the game to sign some stuff.
Cool.
So it was, I don't know, 1 a.m. when I finished my...
So I finished prep at 3 a.m. and then I woke up. But I woke up later than you, so we have a little different schedule with it. But, okay, so gaming-wise, why did you not like shooters? You're talking about the strategics. Shooters was not something that you were personally interested in at the time?
No. I don't know why. It felt really... Okay, I remember why, a little bit. Because it was mostly multiplayer, so I had to play against others.
Okay.
And I had this little... I don't know how it's called, but ladder anxiety, when you're actually supposed to perform against others, and you know... If I'm going to lose, it's going to really make my day worse.
Yeah. I've had
Whereas
that before.
in the game, single player games, you can't really lose, and even if you're losing, you can just load the game from before and you fix it.
I have almost a similar story to you, where I played obviously Counter-Strike from 2003, but I had more success in Virtual Fighter 5 and Forza being 1v1 games by putting the same amount of time in. And it wasn't like I thought, oh, because I'm better than my teammates. It's because sometimes a teammate can let you down, but in a 1v1, it's all on you, you know, and you can just have full control. If you mess up, that's on you, but if you win, that's also on you. So, you know, it's an easier thing to handle. I get you, I fully get you.
In Counter-Strike, obviously you can play single player when it comes to bots, but they're a little bit too easy. So I remember my first shooter game was Unreal Tournament.
Ooh,
That's
nice.
when it felt challenging. It felt almost like I was playing against real players.
Yeah.
And that was kind of entry level for me into Counter-Strike, because I realized in Unreal Tournament I was pretty good when it comes to like mouse and keyboard coordination and aiming. I was suddenly all good. And it's not about Counter-Strike that I really liked the depth of the game at the beginning. It was just I was owning everyone. That's what made it fun for me. You know, when you're winning, it's hard to not like the game.
Of course, yeah. And sometimes if you don't start winning too early on, you might even just ignore that game and not pick it up and go on to something else, right? Okay, so let's talk. You had Unreal Tournament as the first FPS game, yeah?
I think that counts as FPS. Yeah, it counts.
Yeah, that definitely counts. It's a first-person shooter. It's a 1v1 duel game, but it's a first-person shooter. So then when did you first get introduced to Counter-Strike, and by who?
So it was a friend that lives on my street, and he didn't have a PC. I had a PC. He was coming to my house a lot of the time. And I was just watching him because he was older, much older than me.
How does he not have a PC and he introduced you? This is hilarious.
Yeah, because I think he came from like a family that didn't have too much money.
Okay.
And I was living in a family that we were okay.
You're good, yeah.
Yeah, and he heard about the game from other friends. he came to me for visit, and he was like, "Should we try this?" I'm like, "You do whatever you want, bro. You're 10 years older than me, so."
Are you hanging out with someone that much older than you?
Yeah, it felt. I think 10 older is a little bit of a stretch, but I think it was definitely at least like 7 years between us.
Okay.
And yes, he was much older than me, and it was pretty fun because actually I felt since I was. This is back to the school stuff, but
yeah.
I was like a little bit higher when it comes to development, I would say. I found myself sticking with people who were older than me because
makes perfect sense.
It was hard for me to relate with peers when it comes to age. So I always
development, you know, what you can talk about, how you're thinking, very different.
Yep. And for me, it was he came and he was just much better at the games because well, I was just a kid. So I was just watching, and then at some point we were like, should we like switch after every death? Maybe I want to try it.
Yeah.
And then we started doing that, and then eventually it came to the point where he said that I was pretty good.
Nice. So he's the one who got you into it. He thought you were pretty good. How were you, like same level? Were you a lot better than him? How did it look?
He was a lot better than me. Actually,
okay.
But I was good for my age apparently. Funny thing is, then we split after years and years, and then
when you say split, like you moved away.
He moved away to a different city. I moved to, I moved away as well to Bratislava for a brief moment, and he got back to me. He messaged me on Instagram. It's not like we were too social that we were like chatting all the time or calling each other, but he messaged me, I think, on Instagram, and now he's a moderator in my Twitch channel.
Oh, shit!
He comes to watch sometimes, and he's probably watching as well whenever we played. Nice.
Okay. And did he ever have a career in Counter-Strike at all?
No.
Like, no, nothing competitive?
No. He was just, he was fan of games.
What's his Twitch name?
I am Flare, but it's like a couple of numbers in it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure which one. I am Flare.
Lion Flair, you got him into it, and look what you've done. look what you started.
Yeah.
That's solid, man. Okay, so he's helped you get into it. How old are you at this point? What's the age?
I think it was like 9 or 10.
See, that's a good age because a lot of people in your generation didn't get to start that early, right? It's more like the Munnesies and the Donks that started that part. Not many players are starting so young, so that's a good head start on a lot of players. But by this time, you're still just playing for fun.
Of course, yeah.
Where was the first bit of competition? When did you learn about teams, competitive, esports?
So I was playing Counter-Strike 1.6, and obviously you join a lot of public servers.
Yeah.
That's where you have. I was mostly coming to some Slovakian community public servers and Czech community servers. Felt nice whenever you get accused of cheating there, because obviously that's meaning that okay, I'm actually
I'm doing something right.
Yeah, that was happening way too often, and then obviously through that, some people approached me. Yo, we have this little cup next week, online cup. Can you join us? We want to play it, and we're missing 5th guy.
Is it all still Slovakian Czech, or is it a bit Europe?
Slovakian Czech all the time, yeah. And I said yes, and one thing led to another. There was like a half a year where I was just starting to know first people from within Counter-Strike.
Okay, so you were making friends in the game?
Yes, that was first my kind of networking.
And by this point, how long do you think you played for?
I think I played for like 3 years, but 1 year of just non-Steam, like bots.
Oh, wow,
where I had no internet.
Oh shit, so you had a PC with no internet?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And I guess your first internet was probably...
I was like 10, 11 when I had first internet.
And would you say back then it's like 256K? Did you have 512? Because you wouldn't have been 56K days like me, I believe. You should have had faster.
It was like these telephone lines thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know how...
But they were tough times, man. A Steam update would happen, a Counter-Strike update would happen.
That's the
thing.
Horrible. That was a non-Steam day still for me. I didn't have Steam yet. Like I was just playing pirated version.
Cool. Okay, because I was playing Steam from 2003, so that's when.
No, that's not for me. You had to pay for Steam for like $10, and that was too much. that was too much for my parents to buy.
Okay. So, you started to play these local online tournaments, right?
Tournaments, and then we started doing decently in some of them. And then I was always like, okay, I get a group of friends. I'm the best out of them. Then I found a new group. I'm again better than them.
So you just kept leveling up.
And to the point where I decided to go for LAN tournaments. Or like, these weren't really LAN tournaments, but I will explain the concept. It's very easy, but I'll try. It's basically a tournament that is national-wide, Slovakia and Czech Republic. And there are gaming cafes all across the country.
This is how I started.
Oh, really?
So we had one in London, one in Manchester, one in Scotland, and then one somewhere else. And you would compete to win in your region, in like your CAF, and then the winners would play each other from each one.
Okay, so we had it a little bit different. So you go to these cafes, and let's say it's like 30 teams across both nations. Some cafe can hold like 4 teams, some cafe can hold just 1 team because they have only 5 good PCs, etc. And then you come there at Saturday, and 9 a.m. the groups are decided, and you play maybe against like team from Prague, and then team from Bratislava, and etc. And
oh wow! So you play.
So it's like an online tournament, but you have to be physically at a LAN place.
But that's good because that means no one's cheating. It's all legit. It's all looked after properly. Was there money?
Yes. You have to pay money to attend.
Of course, and then
first 3 gets it split. Damn. And that was pretty good concept, I feel like. And this is where I met Striker from HLTV as well. We will get to that.
This is so smart for like your region because it wasn't just Slovakia. It was Slovakia and Czech, right?
Yeah.
So you had a little bit of growth within opportunity there, and a mix of players as well. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that was a cool concept. Then it died eventually. But what I was saying is that I decided, okay, let's go to this kind of tournament. Let's see how that goes. Obviously, we went last place. Like, we had no chance against each other. Like, there were some really good teams back then. No one was professional by any means, but we were just kids.
Were you still quite young? Yeah.
13, 14. But as this goes on, it happened like this tournament happened like once every 2 months, I would say.
Do you remember your first team name? Like, because Wikipedia tells me Snoopy Game,
No. It was way before that.
Way before this,
way before that. I can remember. It was mostly like mixes, you know. It wasn't even.
Okay, so just fun stuff. Just,
yeah. So I traveled somewhere. Usually my parents actually took me. So like 2 hours drive. They let me in the cafe for the whole day, and then while we were getting eliminated, then we went back. That was like a 1-day thing.
How many games did you eliminate? 1, 2?
It could have been 3 minimum.
Okay.
So it's still like fair amount of playtime, and even if you get eliminated, you can stay still at the cafe and then play
a bit, yeah. But your parents supported you; they took you.
Yes, it's not like they they supported me in this term.
Okay.
When it comes to travel, I guess for them it was like, he really wants to go, and I really don't want to let him go alone by train or bus. He's too young for that.
Yeah.
Let's do it like this. Okay, you can go, but we have to go with you. And they were like always around, you know, like seeing the city while I was playing in some basement in cafe.
That's good though, man. They didn't hinder you. They didn't hold you back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're playing at some of these local LANs. You've met Styko as well. Styko was playing at this point, I guess.
Styko was playing. He was beating me at first, then I started beating him. He was pretty good at Counter-Strike.
How much older is Styko than you? 2 years?
Yeah, something like that.
I think so.
So it took me a lot of tries to not be last place. So we went there for experience, but then eventually there was like twice a year there was an actual proper LAN tournament going on in Czech Republic, and I was noticed because I was doing good at these cafe tournaments.
Yep.
I was noticed by other Slovakians. We were actually peers. We were like 15 back then, and we were a super young team. We came to this LAN and we finished 4th place out of like 32 teams, and we were by far the youngest team there. Everyone was like, "Who the hell are these kids?" Like we were styling on everyone, and there was at some point my teammate there was Queston, which was my teammate in Hellraisers.
Yes.
Briefly. So that was the first time we really showed what we can do, what I can do. And funny thing is that as we were sitting and playing, next to us was the best local team from our region, which was Guardian and guys from there. So whenever they're not playing, obviously there's a lot of downtime at these events. Whenever they're not playing, they're sitting at the PCs and they see these 5 kids next to them beating someone they have trouble beating, right?
Okay.
So and they were like,
so it's a glimmer of like,
they're
what's
like
going on here?
looking at the like, what's the score? How are they beating them? And they suddenly like started being interested in our game and standing behind us, etc., etc.
So this was just luck because they were next to you.
Well, that part is the luck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That not you winning, but I mean the luck was it just so happened that you had some older, very capable players able to look at what you were doing and take notice.
I think we were in crosshairs for some time after that as well. It's just sped up the process because they were right next to us and they saw us cheering and calling and talking to each other and like. Yeah.
Did you talk much with them?
Well, we were shy, but they started. They were nice. They started a conversation. They started asking things, and I'm friends with them until now. I'm pretty much like with 4 or 5 guys. I speak with them. Yeah.
Nice. So on your own YouTube, when I was doing my research on you, you said Neophyte was like your first real team that you would consider. The other teams though that I see all before that, is it worth talking about? Is there anything in particular?
It's not a salary.
No, not a salary.
So it's just they paid us like a bus ticket to go to the LAN, and we wore their jersey. So I think Neophyte was the first real thing.
And even that wasn't salaried though, right?
I believe we weren't salaried, but we had a lot of funding when it comes to events. We even traveled to Copenhagen Games, and I didn't have to pay anything out of my pocket.
So that's good. So you were in a position where, and with looking at your country and the scene you had then, there were sponsors definitely. There were some sponsors, but it wasn't good monetary sponsors yet. They weren't looking at the region like that. They were like, use our headsets, use our mouse pads, use our So it was more like a trade of logos for a bit of travel money, and you represent us. So this Neophyte, what was the turning point? Obviously, you said you went to Copenhagen Games, and you came last place right at the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. How tough was that for you as someone who's competitive, and what was that experience like? Because I guess Copenhagen Games is the first big one.
Yes, but at the same time, in local scene, Czech and Slovak scene,
Yep.
we're winning everything.
Yes.
Like, not
So
even,
you're on top of the world within your own region.
it wasn't even close at that point. Like, we were going to events. Saturday is a final.
Yeah.
Friday we got smashed. We were absolutely drunk until morning.
Damn.
At 1 p.m. Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
we were playing the final, and the final ended like 16-3, 16-5.
Wow. So you were way ahead of everyone.
Like,
Was Guardian still playing at this point? In these kind of events? Or was he already moving up?
No. He was definitely not in these events because
Yeah.
I'm thinking. It was CSGO, right?
Yes,
No,
CSGO
no.
for Neophyte I've got.
Yes, it was. And
Because he would have been already done all his work in Source.
Maybe Guardian had a. So DreamHack Winter 2013 was when I was there with Guardian. We didn't qualify for the event, but we were 1 game away.
Ooh.
And I know that after that, Guardian was approached by Navi.
Okay.
And I think I went back to local scene, obviously, because that was just a mix. And Guardian was already playing in international.
Yeah.
International.
Because he'd done it before in Source, and then he was able to continue it going in CSGO.
He was so good. He was really good.
Of course. Was he a player you looked up to, even though you didn't have the same role?
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was far ahead of pretty much everyone when it comes to experience as well. He was definitely the one to look up to.
Nice.
It's not like, I was too close with him because
Yeah.
we were teammates at some point. Even in 1.6, at the end of our 1.6, we were teammates, and he felt human to me, mortal.
Yeah.
Once he loaded up the game,
You saw a different version.
that was mental.
Oh, yes. Now, we're looking at this and saying what happened in Neophyte. You had a lot of motivation, right? Mainly off the back of FPL.
Yeah.
FPL comes along in 2015.
Yeah.
And it changed everything for a lot of players, and especially players from a region where general salary is not so high.
Yes.
So that FPL money can be like a salary.
You can farm it up.
Yeah, and that's what I think was beautiful of it, because the Danish scenes and like the Scandinavian scenes, French, whatever, they had a bit more money, a bit more marketing money, right, being pumped into them. Events wasn't as hard, but for some of the areas like the Ukraine, your Russia, your Slovakia, your Poland and stuff like that, getting some money from some FPL can be a game changer of, can I do this now or can I not? What was that like to be there as one of the first people going through it?
So when FPL was announced, we were like, that's pretty cool. Let's try to message them if we can get in.
Okay.
It's for admins. And at that time, we were definitely top 30 in the world because we had some wins against Flipside with
Nice.
Simple.
Electronic Times as well, right?
I think it was.
Just before
it
we
was
went,
definitely World that it was there. And
Nice.
people like that. Blade.
Of course, played life to the team.
And that was the time where we farmed a little bit of rankings. We were doing good in these online HLTV tournaments. And my friend Zero, he messaged admins in Faceit and was like, yeah, sure, we can get you in. So we were there from the get-go. We didn't need to qualify. That was a huge head start.
Okay.
We were one of the most unknown team in FPL from the beginning.
How did he? No offense to you guys, but how did he manage that? Like,
we looked at the rating. Like we showed them, this is our rating on HLTV.
Yeah.
Can you get us in? And we were like, I think we were like 23rd or 24th. I would have to go back and look.
So it was just the right timing, though, right? Because you were in a good position.
We peaked at the right timing at the FPL announcement. Another coincidence, but I guess we wouldn't even get in if we didn't ask. That's the funny part.
Yeah, they wouldn't have invited you.
He was randomly asking, would you get us in? I didn't even know what FPL is at that point, right? No one knew that it's going to be that huge.
No, it was at the start.
Why do we need to be in another Faceit kind of thing?
Why have we got to sign up here? Why have we got to download this? Why have we got to play?
And then once we got in, we realized, oh my God, this is actually huge. Oscar was farming it every day. He was playing FPL non-stop.
Oscar was so dumb.
He was. I think he won first month, which was August 20. I don't know.
How much was that back then? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. It was it like maybe 1.2k, 2k maybe.
Just think how huge that is as well.
It was like we weren't salaried back then.
Yeah, so
I mean, at that point, like we don't even practice. Our practice goes into FPL because through practice we can make the money.
Yeah.
And then maybe
we can keep
we'll
going.
Play. Yeah.
And then obviously Oscar gets noticed from the back of this as well, right?
It took 2 months.
And so this is where you stop playing with him for a little time. Because the time where he was on Hellraisers before you, right?
No.
Oh, you went exactly together. Okay.
Yep. Because he got noticed from FPL. I was doing in FPL pretty well as well, but nowhere near like Oscar level. But we were teammates from Neophyte, and Oscar was approached by LMBT wrote him, which was the coach of Hellraisers.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yo, you wanna try out for us because our Oper is not going to play." I think it was Mo from Kazakhstan going away, and Oscar was like, "Yeah, sure, I guess I can try, but my English is not that great. I don't feel that comfortable. I never played in an international team." But my teammate Styko, he's really good. I was actually like really good when it comes to local LAN events. I was by far the best player. I think even better than Oscar. But Oscar was oping, and they needed an opener.
Okay.
And he said that, okay, I'm gonna try out, but can I try with this guy as well? And they were looking at another guy. So I would fill in the slot for, I think it was instead of Adren.
Okay.
So again, Kazakhstani player.
Yeah. Because LMBT played with all these guys and was around that scene.
It was
the CIS
Angel,
scene, right?
It was Angel Kucher and one more, I don't remember, and then Adren and Mo. Maybe that one more might be simple, but I'm not sure yet. I don't think so. So yeah, basically Oscar tried out. I tried out with them as well. I remember we played like suddenly tier 1 teams. We were playing against Kenyans on Cobblestone, I remember.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like I remember.
So you went from local lands to FPL to
Yep.
practicing with Hellraisers and playing against Kenyans.
Exactly.
Did you understand, like obviously Kenyans back then, were you aware of how big these names were, these people were?
They were playing in that FPL, so we were that was our only experience against tier 1.
How serious were those kind of pros who were already on the top level taking FPL back then?
They were serious about it. It was, even though it wasn't a lot of money, they weren't getting a lot of money themselves.
Their salaries were not high then.
It was interesting to see how even teams, even players like this take it seriously, but at the same time, they were also streaming it, and that was a huge boost as well.
Yeah.
So they had to.
So they'd hit the jackpot, right? They were already on a salary team, even though the money wasn't so high. They were in FPL, and they were streaming it to the fan base. At this point, we're growing huge in Counter-Strike. Like it's all blowing up.
Yep.
I remember that time being like kind of the gold dust. It was the CS:GO lounge times as well. If people remember that, it was a pretty wild ride. Can I ask what like respect you were getting as a less known player at that time from here? Because I think what I love about your videos and your side on this is you're always very honest. And at least how I've even seen videos that have been leaked from times where a player might come into FPL, and I've seen some pros that I can name who have played for very good teams, who treat them badly or maybe don't talk as nicely to them, not as respectful. How was it for you guys coming in?
I think people were generally nice to us.
Nice.
I think they.
It's hard not to be nice to you.
No. It's nice to us even if we were unknown.
Okay.
Because at that point, everyone's like testing the waters. You never know who's going to make it big. You don't want to burn bridges too early into the CS:GO scene. You can see it with JW and Polish guys, right? They were playing against each other for a long time, and they were accusing him of cheating so much to the point where Pasha wanted to like beat JW or something. Yeah,
there was quite an aggressive tone being thrown around.
And in the end, JW was not cheating. In fact, he won the first major in DreamHack in 2013. So you see, you never know what you're dealt with when it comes to new players.
Rops went through the same kind of process as well.
Absolutely.
Had to fly to London.
Absolutely.
Just to play.
And everyone was, the community was much more close. Knitted, I think.
Okay.
And
so it was a nicer time.
It was not like they respected us by any means, but they were neutral with us. You know, they were not like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, get them out of here.
So, another thing I want to ask before we go further is, your English is fantastic. But why is your English so good compared to like a lot of people from your region at that time? Had you always learned a lot? Is it just because you were smart, like we've been talking about? Did you specifically want to work on your English? Because I've been doing interviews with you for so long that like you've always had a good level. We've never had a problem.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to understand you.
When you get this version of me compared to broadcast version of me, it's definitely harder.
Yeah. I think I will say about the English that it comes from school. As I said, English was one of the subjects I have never prepared for a test, ever.
Wow.
Even the
I wouldn't expect that.
Even the national thingy when you have to graduate high school.
Yeah.
I poured probably like 1 hour into it because I had to learn English holidays and American holidays, and I had no clue. Like I don't know what 4th of July means or whatever like that. So I have to learn that. Okay, but that's like memorizing stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to understanding and talking, never had an issue. And I don't know. It came. A lot of it, vocabulary especially, came from games.
Of course.
And those single player games that we were mentioning.
You're reading these words, you're seeing these words all the time.
What it was like me playing with dictionary, and I was like actually actively looking it up.
What's this? What's this?
Because like if you in those games when it's strategic games we were talking about, if you don't understand a word, and you're missing the whole context, it's actually ruining your game. And as I said, I'm an optimizer. I need to know. So another thing was that I was into like music, which was like, I don't know, I don't listen to it now, but like System of a Down. And these guys are having incredibly difficult lyrics.
Classic frag movie.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And they have incredibly difficult lyrics to the point where it's like it gets political a lot of times.
So fast and very detailed, and they're trying to hit a point.
And then I'm like, what the fuck are these guys even singing about? And I'm like, okay, I'm Googling the lyrics then. And then it started with YouTube and YouTube videos and movies. Everything was in English subtitles. So I can compare the accents and stuff.
Ah, smart. So you weren't doing like English Slovakian subtitles.
No,
you're doing
never.
English listening, English subtitles.
Yep.
Another smart thing you're doing. All right, so Oscar has helped you get a trial.
Yep.
How long was your trial? What was your first? This is your first pro team trial, right? Like real pro team.
Yeah. I think it took like 2 weeks, and it was mixed with obviously practice days and a lot of officials. Back then you played official pretty much
there was
every other
like
day.
so many games.
Yeah, you played best of ones, best of threes, whatever, but we were having pretty decent results compared to like you have to understand that Kucher didn't speak English. Like the guy that doesn't know English too much, and we were stuck on this team, and Oscar was again not speaking English too much. I was like a lot of times translating, you know.
I can't believe that. So you've got Angel, Ukrainian. Kucher was Belarusian?
No, Kucher was Ukrainian, but I think he lived in Crimea.
Okay, so he had a different flag.
He became Russian.
I'm trying to remember his flag and like that. And then you had you, Oscar. Who's the fifth person?
I wish I knew. I know we played with Simple in this roster, but I don't know if he played with Simple from the get-go.
Did you have Vladdy as your manager at one point?
No, I joined Hellraisers when Vladdy left us.
Okay.
It was exactly at that moment.
Because even Vladdy had Simple for a while, so I was trying to think of the crossover of that.
I think Vladdy was not there.
Okay. But either way, that's a pretty interesting way to go into an international as such team.
Yes.
And then at some point, right, you're still trying to do university, or you just started university.
I mean, your timeline makes perfect sense because this is literally like September.
I've done good research then, yeah? Okay, good. Nice.
It's September of, I don't know the exact year, but it's September. School is starting.
The new year.
And I'm moving to Bratislava, new flat, like, not my flat, but I'm like...
So this is the first time you moved to Bratislava as well?
And like outside of, out away from parents.
Have you ever lived anywhere else? You always lived with your parents?
Yep.
Oh, wow. And
so I'm coming there.
Age at this point, just to give me clarity on where we're at.
I finished high school, so I'm 19.
19, okay.
19. And
still young?
Yep. I come to this place and I pretty much make sure that it's close to school.
Yep.
That's all. That was my main point. And all I bring is like a suitcase of stuff and obviously PC. Right?
PC priority,
yeah. It needs to be there.
Was the internet better in Bratislava as well?
100%.
Yeah, so
finally, I had internet, which like
I
was
better ping.
able to stream as well.
Oh, okay, we're cooking.
Yeah. So I come there and I settle, and Hellraisers is all of a sudden you pass the trial. here's the contract. I'm like,
wait,
what?
So you hadn't passed before you joined. You move.
Yeah.
You pass.
Yeah.
And then you're offered a salary.
So, from the mindset is like this.
Oh my
I've never
God.
wanted to be a pro player. Like
we haven't had this conversation. You didn't want to be.
It's like my main priority was to get to this economics university that I really wanted to go there for years in high school. And
you really wanted to go because of you or because of your parents?
me, I really enjoyed the.
Okay. I'm
the
interested
school.
because you often say obviously you didn't try.
No, but
So I wasn't sure if you still had it in mind that you wanted this life.
I only tried in subjects that I really cared about.
Okay.
And this was like, okay, economics sounds fun, like managing an international business, this is what I want to dabble with.
Economics sounds fun. That's a quote and a half.
I'm sorry, but it's such a nerd, right? So I come there.
We love you for it.
I come there, I move there, I finally settle, and LMBT wrote me, okay, so here's the contract. Are you going in? I'm like, what are you saying? Like, suddenly I have this world open to me.
Yep.
And I was like, sure, let's go in. This is going to pay my rent.
Okay, so for me to understand this then, you've been offered this contract, you're already signed up to university, so you're in university,
I'm
right?
in university. I'm going probably first week of university. I'm getting familiar with...
the timing is unreal,
It's
dude.
unreal.
And then you don't really know if you want to be a pro player at this point. It's not a focus for you. You've got a full focus on economics.
Yes.
Did you have an agent at this point?
Nope.
No. So you're doing this contract work on your own?
Yep.
And I'm guessing it was in 2 languages or 1 language?
It was in 2 languages, thank God.
Yeah, okay, because...
But I didn't know negotiations are a thing. I was like, okay, this is...
Oh, you just accepted the offer?
Yeah.
Can I ask you how much you got first time?
Yes, it was $500 a month. It was
It's your
exactly covering my rent.
Yeah,
That's
it's like it's your first pro team, but it still feels, considering when obviously mine's looking at, I've got hindsight, but how well Hellraisers was and how good it was, and the fact Hellraisers at that time was like still a organization built around the players.
Yep.
That salary is kind of low. Great for you, but I mean, I'm looking to the future, like they definitely could have paid you more than that.
For me, you know how I looked at it?
Yeah.
It's like 500 a month. That's like 5th place in FPL every single month, confirmed. And if I play well in FPL, I can get extra. You know, I can build up.
It's a smart way of doing it. It's a smart way of doing
because
it.
I had virtually no other reference point when it comes to money from Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Besides, prize money.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
cool.
talking with hindsight,
Yep.
right? You at the time, that's like if I was you, I'd be like, cool, sign. And I probably wouldn't even read the contract. I'm sure you read the contract. I'm very sure you read the
I
contract.
tried reading it, but I didn't understand half of the words.
Okay. Had Oscar signed already?
We signed at the same time.
Okay, so you signed.
I think he had a little bit better salary though, but not by much.
But in terms of that, that's funny because you both signed at the same time. He's obviously very well known for what he was doing at that point. But this is where we started to get you more well known. That's what I remember. We took note of you being signed on Hellraisers from, I'm talking about my personal perspective. This is when we're looking at it. And this was the crazy lineup because on paper at the beginning it didn't make sense. Yeah?
Yeah.
Was that fair to say?
I mean, fair.
And the fact is I didn't know at the time when we were first seeing you come to the scene that you were also studying at the same time.
Yes.
How did you balance it?
I didn't.
Oh, was it terrible?
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. Like, I came to university that I really wanted to go to, so I told my parents, like, this is great. I told my family, this is great. The school is going to be so fun for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's first exam period, and I'm, like, barely scraping by.
Were you able to put any time into being ready for it?
I was just putting enough so I know I don't. I knew I won't fail, and that was enough for me. That was like, I closed the book and I started Counter-Strike. I started dead matching. I had to practice with Hellraisers. We were traveling a lot actually the first year. A lot of the times I wasn't even managing to come to school on time. So usually back in the day, tournaments were like this, when you go like, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's like 3 days event. Right now it's, if you're watching Counter-Strike, it's like 1 week long.
Yep.
So back then it was just these 3 days. So Friday I always missed out on school. Monday I oftentimes missed out because of the flight. Sometimes I was going...
If you're traveling Thursday or Friday, then
Yep, and then I was going home on Monday, which means that I only managed sometimes to get into the school straight from the airport to the school afternoon. I wasn't catching like early, like
Yeah.
And that was a big deal because I was missing out so much. And by the rule in Slovakia or in the school that I was attending, it was like if you miss more than 30% of the lectures, you're not allowed to come into the exam.
Wow.
Otherwise, you have to do like an extra work. And I was always having to do like, teacher told me,
catch up, extra work.
You have to make this kind of seminar or whatever, prepare it by this deadline, and you're gonna hand it out to me. And if it's good enough, I will let you to the final exam.
Damn.
I was like, okay, this is fine because I was good at doing these bullshitting seminars because I was doing it even in high school, and it was so easy for me. Like it was like nothing. I know my ways around a subject, even if I don't care about the subject.
Yeah.
I know how to make it interesting.
So you found a way to do it.
Yeah.
So how long were you managing both studying and playing?
1 year. I couldn't do more.
How long should have your course been?
Well, for a bachelor, it's called
correct.
bachelor, right? 3 years.
Okay.
So I didn't manage to finish it at all. After 1 year, I said, okay, I'm gonna do a gap year right now, fully focus on Counter-Strike. If it fails, I'm coming back and finishing this bloody school. If it doesn't, well, it's over.
Oh, so you gave yourself a timeline of like, and what was doing well?
What was doing
in
well?
your mind? Like, what would you consider doing well?
Improving to the point where, if I'm going to be still a pro player in 1 year, I know I'm doing something right.
Okay.
So obviously, if I would be dropped and then I would be looking for another team and I would be forced to stream or play FPL, that's to me failure. Okay. If I'm still on the Hellraisers or
getting
picked up by a better team or other team, or poached, if I see clear interest from other teams, then to me that's a success, and that will be the one that I want to continue with.
Now, Hellraisers went on to be amazing for you, and we're going to come on to this one because I feel like Copenhagen Games, you go 2015, you lose it, last place.
Last place, yeah.
But it's an experience. 2016, you come back a year later, and everyone was like, not maybe the very top teams, but a lot of very good teams were going to Copenhagen Games.
Yep.
You guys win it in 2016. This is your roster. Angel, Oscar, you, Zero, and Questone.
Yes.
And LMBT is still the coach, right?
Yep.
That's pretty solid. And you brought Zero and Questone along for the ride. You just basically had Angel out there, right?
So Zero, we knew him from our scene. He was extremely young, and he was playing very well in tough positions. It was like, reminded me a lot of when it comes to aiming and stuff like that, like Shroud-esque.
Okay.
Shroud wasn't known back then. But
but that's
like
that's a good way we can think about it.
A reference. And he's always good at the game that he picks up, by the way. He's wow. And Questone was replacement. I think we had to replace, I believe, Kucher it was.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, I'm not going to give you any CIS name because I don't know. So if you guys can come up with it, Angel and LMBT.
Yeah.
I will give you a name, Questone. Let's try him out. His English is not that good, but he's shooting pretty hard. Let's bring him on and let's see how it goes. And I think we had a really lucky streak at Copenhagen Games because I think we dodged favorites of the tournament, which I believe was Dignitas back then with MSL and some other guys. Basically, there were a lot of Danish teams in Copenhagen Games.
Yep.
I think they all went out in quarterfinals. It was like Danish team against other team, Danish team against other team, 4 different quarterfinals, and Danish teams lost every single one of it. I think something like that happened, crazy. And in the final, we played against Bulgarians from, they were called E-Play maybe, like Victor, Bubble, Spy Leader, and these guys, and we were always beating them. We were like so confident coming into the final.
So take it this way, for people's reference, in this Copenhagen Games that you won, Copenhagen Wolves was Hunden, Glaive, Percy, Snappy on there. Dignitas was MSL, KAB, Tensky, Config, Rubino. And then, you played... The final, you played against Victor, NKL, Bubble, Dreamer, and Spy Leader, obviously very well-known Bulgarian roster. You had the SK there that was still... Pimp was on SK these days. Bloody hell.
I think they got eliminated in
this is hilarious. Ents were there, Alu, Sunny, Zarte.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So while you're looking at this, I will give you one more thing that 2015, we ended last place. but it was not after we qualified for the main event by going through by bringing your own BIOC qualifier.
Yes, go through the horrible bit where there's like so many random teams and everyone's just turning up.
And we played there, and we obviously qualified, and we were doing really good there. Like, we were playing solid. But it came to the point where it was so exhausting. There were so many games that once the main tournament came,
it's always delayed as well.
Yeah, we were like, dude, we're trained. We cannot play like this anymore. Yeah. And we kind of ran out of steam. We actually beat Simple on one map, Simple's flip side.
Okay.
I think on the nuke, it was where he kind of really, really raged. I remember we did veto against them. It was Blade and Simple and me and my IGL. And Simple doesn't know that we understand Russian. That I understand Russian. And he was saying like, "Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck are these guys? Let's play whatever. Do the veto, Blade, quickly, go."
Yeah.
Go. We started veto. We started playing, and we suddenly beat them on one map. And it was like, Simple, shut up.
Oh dear.
I'm sure he doesn't remember this, but
he was still young then. He was still a very troubled person when it comes to fighting at that point. Now, the big one, European minor going to the E-League Major 2017, your first major, right? Atlanta.
Yep.
This one, teams changed a little bit once again. You've lost Oscar.
Yeah.
How hard was that for you? Did it bother you? As it was like a friend and someone you joined with? Was it a sad moment for you?
It was definitely weird suddenly playing without him, but he was just so good in Hellraisers. Like, he was overperforming. He was by far the best player on the team.
Yeah.
And when
you couldn't hold him.
When he got an offer from Esports, it was so clear that
Okay. So at this point, we're still in the parts where the contracts are like one way to the big teams and one way to the smaller teams in this, that you guys understand.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
We knew that Mousesports is a better team.
Yep.
Well,
better organization, maybe.
Yeah,
had a lot of history.
Better contract for Oscar, and he was obviously looking forward to play with names like that, and better English and everything like that.
So he'd leveled up in Hellraisers to the point where a team like Mousesports would come from.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is this roster. Why are you still speaking English when you had Angel, you, Zero, Bondic, Dead Fox, Johnson? What was going on here?
Yes, we still
good enough.
We're good at English there.
Yep.
I think Dead Fox was pretty good when it comes to English. He was like completely different offer from Oscar. He was really, really supportive, and that put pressure on, for example, me and Angel to perform more, stuff like that. So it's a wild lineup, but something was clicking. I think we were not a bad team by any means. We were, I feel like, more strategical with Jonta and Dead Fox. I can't quite put a grasp on it, but
were you surprised though to make it to the like you lose your star, you rebuild, and you still make it not just to the minor but to the major?
I'm not sure if we were surprised. Obviously, I think we went there believing we can do it. I think a lot of people from community were surprised we did it. But for us, even if you're losing the biggest star of the team, like Oscar, you always try to spin it into the fact that there were obviously some weaknesses that he was bringing, and you were like, okay, yes, we're losing a firepower, but we're getting rid of those weaknesses that he brought. And now it's a different dynamics in the team. Even if like when Simple left Navi, I'm pretty sure they were thinking about it, okay, Simple is gone, we need to adjust a lot of things, but at the same time, something else is going away with him that he was bringing, like bad vibes or whatever to the team, or requiring a lot of resources, stuff like that. So you always try to spin it in a way where you're the one taking positives out of it.
In terms of these positives, though, the Hellraisers dream, okay, you didn't do great at E-League Atlanta, it's the first major, it's an experience to go through. Krakow 2017, you did not qualify. So did you get the offer from Mousesports because of Oscar afterwards?
No, I think it was because of LMBT.
Ah, nice. So when he went over,
he went with Oscar or after Oscar? I'm
just
not sure.
after Oscar, I believe.
And they were like, yeah, we need. It was funny because I was supposed to go there a little bit before I actually went, but I denied the offer. Yeah, I was actually thinking that we are going to be a better team in Hellraisers. We were when it comes to rankings, we were really close with Mouse. And I remember this is a wild thing, but I remember that we were playing a certain tournament from boot camp in Kiev. It was like a qualifier for a big event. And I was telling to myself, if we don't qualify for this event, I will accept the offer from Esports.
And you qualified.
And we qualified. We were losing like 13-15.
Yeah.
I won like 1v3 clutch on Inferno B side against Happy from the French guys. I forced it to overtime. We won that overtime when we qualified. And it was like right after the game I wrote to LMBT, I'm not coming.
Oh, wow.
And they got Robs instead of me to replace Nico.
Okay.
Because I was supposed to replace Nico. Or like I was in the talks.
Yeah.
Because Nico was going to face.
Yes.
And yeah, fast forward a couple of months, not PGL, but Krakow major thing is happening. Mousesports qualify pretty smoothly, 3-0 I think, or 3-1, I don't know. We didn't qualify. I sucked. Like I was playing so bad.
Yeah.
And they were still like, do you want to come? Because they were doing another roster change.
Okay. Who did you replace after that then?
Who did I replace? It was Dennis and Speedy, I think.
Ah, yes. It's the last time they had the German. Yeah, finally they removed them.
And
that was a long time coming.
They were interested. So they were bringing two players. They were interested in Sunny for sure, and then Mixwell from Spain. But Mixwell decided to go to Optic to NA.
Yeah, when they built that crazy project.
And Mixwell said, I'm not coming to Mousesports, but you should look at Styko. And kind of Mixwell gave me like a reference, and we're like, yeah, we know about Styko. Okay, we will give it a try. And then they.
So even after you said no, they gave you a try.
Yeah.
But were you kicked from Hellraisers, or you still decided to leave?
I think I was, because of my performances, I was about to be like.
I remember it looking bad for you. Yeah. Like it wasn't the greatest of times.
No. It was a lot of role changes for me as well. Like I was all of a sudden playing completely different Counter-Strike that I was supposed to. I was slumping as well. But
you were very adaptable. You were very adjustable. That was the beautiful thing about it.
I was trying to be, at least. That was probably the first hints of it, that I will be doing a lot of sacrificial work for the team. Yeah. And it happened in Mousesports when I went there, and it was complete bitch rolls.
And this is what's funny, because you join here, so you get basically a good spot in challenges on Mousesports because of what they've done in the past when you were not on the roster, right? And then you get to go to Boston.
Yes.
Because you were not part of the Krakow team for Mousesports.
Yeah, but
you didn't qualify as Hellraisers.
I think so.
They did well enough. You then get the invite, so you don't have to qualify.
Yep.
And this is, at the time, an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
You guys go to playoffs of Boston.
Top 8 at the major.
It was a crazy major, but there was some very legitimate teams there. Like, this obviously the one that Cloud9 won and FaZe should have won. We all know the story with that.
Yep.
But like, Navi were in there at the top 4, SK as well. QBF kind of weird that they were there at the same time. But generally, this was a stacked playoff bracket, very competitive playoff bracket. And Mousesports were in there. You got eliminated by
FaZe.
Of course, yeah, because it was the Nico on FaZe, yeah. So you lost 19-16 on the opening map of Nuke, and then
that Nuke we should have probably won.
You lost 16-9 on Cash afterwards.
Yeah.
That's still not bad though, is it really? I know for you it's definitely going to suck. But like, you beat Astralis, you lost to SK, you beat Vegas Squadron, you lost to QB5, then you beat Space Soldiers.
Yeah.
That's not a bad run.
It's not the worst. We should really threw it against QB Fire like 13-2 lead. It could have been better. What I have to say though is that we were number 2 in the world at the time. I think within the 6 months that I've been on Mousesports, it started like we were traveling a lot. There were like 4 consecutive tournaments. First tournament was DreamHack Malmo last place. Straight from Malmo, we flew to Mykonos.
Which you won.
Which we won.
Yeah.
It was like last place to second place. Then
wasn't that just a horrible, weird event though? It was like a strange event. Like,
I think the event itself was good. It's just that somehow we had no pressure. We were chilling by the pool, and then
it was such a like. I looked at it as like I wasn't even doing talent. I was doing talent work, but I wasn't doing any of these big events. Yeah. I remember watching from home and thinking, are the players taking this seriously? Or are they relaxing? Like, I remember seeing the VP guys by the pool. Everyone's chilling. Everyone's just having fun.
We were taking it seriously when it comes to in-game stuff.
You're playing in-game, yeah.
But it's not like you could practice from there. So
no,
there's like nothing to do.
Terrible.
There was time where sometimes at the events you still didn't have computers, or like a practice room.
No practice rooms, damn.
And you had nothing to do, so you might as well
Tough times, man.
Yeah.
But, so this part of joining Mouse Sports, it's almost instant success. You see you did terrible at Malmo, but you won Mykonos, V4 Festival 2018.
Yeah.
And then Star Series Season 4.
Yeah.
And at one point, but you had different roster changes during this, right? It wasn't always the same. You had some in and out players.
No. We were always the same.
It was always the same?
Yeah.
So you were the last piece in?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you were the last piece in.
With Sonny, because we came at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like overhaul of
getting rid of Spiddy and Dennis.
Yeah.
And then filling in. Why was it that roster clicked together? What do you feel made that work? So many different nationalities. You obviously, I look at a core with this, is you, LMBT and Oster, because you'd all worked together before. I can imagine you were good friends. But what made that Mouse Sports roster click? Because everyone expected Mouse to basically never be able to rebuild after losing Nico, and they did it pretty well.
I wish I knew what happened. I mean, we could have definitely won more with that roster, but Sonny, Chris J, and Oscar were absolutely insane individually. Robs was getting there, was super reliable anchor. I was just this kind of glue that was doing what was necessary.
So you had everyone in the right roles, you feel like everyone was in the right position?
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Everything kind of made sense on the paper.
There was none of this like clashing, I'd rather do this, yeah. So everyone had found their spot and everyone was good.
Yes, yeah.
And this is where like a lot of you guys kind of, I think other than Chris J, everyone else was just on the rise, you know? Chris J was kind of doing like, he was still playing very well, but I think this is where we start to see his decline, you know, on an individual level. He also had to move around a lot of different roles and changes. But that poor guy moved around more than anyone, I think.
I think Oscar peaked at the time.
Yeah.
And Sonny peaked definitely.
Bro, Sonny, and he was the next one to be picked up, right, from you guys. But he was fire.
He was always so impactful with the rifle, and
Dude,
he was also
insane.
Thinking very well when it comes to in-game stuff. He was helping with co-leading the team, you know, how we want to play. I was not having strong opinions back then. I was just doing what I was told.
Okay.
And Oscar was like that as well. He didn't have strong opinions. He was adaptable when it comes to what we have to do on the server. It was very weird. Very weird times. I don't know how we managed to get up to. The fact is, we weren't really like contending for trophies that often. Yes, we won some, but
we were deep playoffs.
We were always
top four,
always going playoffs, always going top four. This was Astralis era. It was impossible to.
By the way, I got a screenshot here because this is how hilarious this is. Chicago, you lose to Astralis. This is prime Astralis, by the way.
Yeah.
ECS season 6 finals, you lose to Astralis.
Yeah.
EPL season 8 finals, you lose to Astralis. Every time you guys got, I think, other than maybe Liquid, because obviously they kept meeting them in the finals, you guys were meeting Astralis the most. You were always on the same path as Astralis.
I feel like we would be beating Liquid. We would beat them in the SG Mykonos.
If you got Liquid, you'd be loving life. But every time you were on the Astralis bracket, because it was always those two, right? Yeah. That was, because like I said, when you're always in playoffs, there's so many top fours, top threes, and then this, it's just, if you met them early enough, then Astralis would get you. How, you spoke about this on the desk, but how annoying was it to play against that Astralis?
It was pretty annoying because like they were playing differently than anyone else, and the firepower, there was no weakness. The firepower was insane. Even like IGL of Glaive was like putting insane. He was winning MVP sometimes. Device was, I don't want to say unbeatable because Oscar had moments where he was just feeling good against Device specifically, but when you're rifling, you can't do much about Device holding you. It was so hard.
And they were so good on a stage because, like, not you guys knew how to play on a stage, but you never won a map on stage against them.
Did we win the map?
Not on stage, no.
Not on stage.
Never on stage. Never on stage.
I think we beat them only one time, and that was ECS in the Cancun.
Yep.
And it was because one of the players was sick, and they had a stand in Rubino.
Okay, yeah.
And in the semifinals, we beat them, and then in the finals, we played against FaZe. And there was Guardian and guys like that, and they beat us.
So you played against that Primus Strice multiple times.
Yep.
It was a rough time for everyone back then anyway, kind of cutting the run short. But you have to try and beat the best, right, when it comes to it. How would you describe your time of this point up until, this is before we get to the Cloud9 side, the loan. How would you describe that time though? Like, was that the highest point of your career? Because you'd lifted some trophies, you'd finally found some success?
Hard to say, hard to put it into words, because yes, we played well, we lifted a lot of trophies, but people were pretty rude to me when it comes to performance.
Yes.
It was really hard to perform in a team like that, and especially with the roles I was getting dealt with.
What do people expect from you? You had Sonny, Oscar, and Rops. They're the ones I'm looking at as being the performers, right? You are supposed to be the supportive element.
Yeah, it was tough, but I liked it obviously that we played well, and it was maybe even part of the supportive role that I had. So that was one thing. Another thing was that I was sometimes on the point of leaving the team where Mouse was interested in a different player instead of me.
Okay. Who was making this decision? Was it an MPT thing? Was it a management thing at this point?
I know LMBT was against it.
Okay.
It was, I think, not the players. I think it was managerial kind of thing, where they felt like, okay, this guy's not putting enough numbers, and we need to replace him.
And this is the problem. We've come so far, and people who watch this now who maybe are new to Counter-Strike might not realize, we've come so far now that I can look at like some players, like, I don't know, a Perfecto as an example, or a Yimfat, where they don't need to put up great numbers all the time, but I see they're doing their role perfectly, and we praise them for what they're doing. Like Zontix can have some pop-off games, but we see some games where he's absolutely, but I still know he's doing his job, yeah? And I'm not going to kick him because of that. But back in this time, a lot of people were still very dumb, and they were just, oh, look at this, and they're not even counting what you'd set up, what you'd done, what you added to the team.
The thing is, maybe like Mouse sat down and they talked to themselves. We're not happy with playing in playoffs anymore. We need to win trophies more.
Yeah.
And when they look at the weakness, statistically, that was probably me.
But they didn't understand the game enough.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that just because I'm talking to you, but I think we've seen this over the years. Many rosters that could have been great were destroyed because of one roster move. And if you notice, what happens is after this, it's a constant, we change this player, we change this player, we change this player. And it's the same player they've added, getting kicked, and another one's being added, and they're just trying to hit some gold or some lucky whatever.
I mean, they replaced me after all. And then three months later, they were like, okay, let's get Styko back.
This is what I mean. This is like dumb, stupid management moments where they didn't really, like, you have to have someone who actually knows the game to be making these decisions. But we can talk about that all day long. So for you, it wasn't the highest of points, even though you'd won your first big trophies. Because surely that must have felt amazing, right?
It felt amazing.
It's what every player dreams of.
It felt amazing from team standpoint of view. Individually, I was in a rough place. I feel like just because of these mental stuff. Like, for example, I was at the major. We made it to top 8.
Yeah.
And this major in Boston, the group stage happened in Atlanta. And then for
in the studios,
yes. And then just for the playoffs, we flew to Boston. We fly to Boston, and we had, I think, 2 days off. I was like, all right, I'm gonna meet my friends because there were some journalists coming in from HLTV, and we were like, let's sit and get some food.
Yep.
We go there, and then while we were at the table, they were like, oh, have you heard the Richard Lewis podcast? And I was like, no, what did he say? He said that Mouse is looking to replace you. I was like, what the are you saying?
During the main...
This is before this game against FaZe.
Oh, no.
And it's coming, first time I'm hearing that is from Richard Lewis, right? and that apparently they're interested in Dennis, Swedish Dennis.
Oh yeah, and they went for him, didn't they? They actually took him.
No,
they didn't take him.
No, they were just interested in him.
Okay,
and I was like, that's weird. Then we obviously lost the quarterfinal.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, this is probably the end of me in Mouse. I had to take like 4 days off completely away from everything. I disconnected completely. I let them figure their stuff out, and they, in the end, maybe because of the negotiations or they made up their mind, I'm not sure, they didn't go for Dennis. They decided to, okay, Styko, we're playing with you. Don't worry, let's practice for the next tournament. And next tournament was Star Leader and V4, and we both won of it.
Nice. So they could have made a huge mistake.
They could have, but...
Did Dennis ever play on Mouse? He went there eventually.
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm just thinking of German Dennis.
I'm trying to think of like an angle where he would play. I definitely never saw him in a Mouse jersey, so if he played, it was online.
No. Yeah, it's hard. The Mouse have had so many players across the time.
Yeah.
I'm just looking down your stats for Boston because you were mentioning it. Oscar 1.23, 1.23. Sorry, Sully 1.18, Rox 1.16. For your role and position, 0.97 is not bad. Especially the way you guys lost to FaZe in the end as well. That's not terrible. But obviously hearing that and being under fire for it is rough, it is tough. And so this is where, even though you'd had this success afterwards, was it always in the back of your mind, even during Mykonos V4, I think, right? No, sorry, it'd be V4, right? And Star Ladder. Was it always in the back of your mind that they could be looking to replace me, they could be looking to remove me? Because of what you'd heard, yeah?
Yeah, I was, at that point, I was stoic about it. Like, I can't do anything about it. If it happens, it happens. I started thinking about it that, okay, it's a business, I guess.
Were you still outspoken at this point, or were you more like you're not talking as much, you're not saying your opinion? Yeah.
No. I was really quiet when it comes to a lot of stuff, even on the server. You know, like, I was just doing my job and giving information.
I can't imagine you being quiet, because even on interviews, you've always been good. That's
it was just, maybe I had like self-doubt. Like, I'm not good enough to push for my view when I'm the worst performer on the team. I would rather just let the rest of my guys take the lead on that, because they clearly know better. Okay. Which is not necessarily true. I wouldn't do that right now.
Yeah, but now you're older, now you've been through it, now you've seen it a lot more, right?
That's another thing I teach even through my content, like the mistakes I've made.
Yeah, you guys can learn from it. By the way, we'll link Styko's YouTube at the bottom, but it's like, you do a lot of stuff, not just coaching, but on contracts. I think there's one video you did where you said, I left school for playing Counter-Strike, this is why you shouldn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
and there's a lot of good advice on there for players. Like, it's not always going to work for everyone, but just reading this, looking at this, listening to this is going to help some people, especially trying to make their way on it. Yeah. Because you've gone through, like I said at the beginning, you've had a lot of up and downs between this. Because for me, I looked at 2018 as this high point for you, because it was the trophies. Was the higher point the major, your first major?
No, I agree with the trophies.
Okay, cool.
Are the number one thing. Maybe Paris major as well.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
But
by the way,
mentally, I'm not. I wasn't that okay back then.
I've still got to go from 2018 all the way to where we are now, and we are.
That's a COVID era. That doesn't count.
Some bits we get to skip quite nicely, but yeah, we're gonna go through some things. So let's look at some more positives, right? Yeah. Sadly, you do get benched in the end by Mouse, right? Based on the bad performance statistics, at least in their eyes. We've already touched on why we don't agree with it. You get to go on a loan to Cloud9, right? Yeah. And you said one of the most professional orgs.
Yes, 100%.
But obviously, to this day. It's still to this day.
Yeah, I haven't played any more professional.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if that was just at the time, but if you're still saying that now, shout out to Cloud9. That's really solid. Why is that? Can you briefly just touch on why you think they were the most professional? I know you'd only had Hellraisers and Mals at this point. Yeah. But that's to say that even now, when we're sat here in 2024, that's huge.
Yeah. it was just brief period where we didn't have access to like a psychologist or anything like that. But from like managing the team, I was living in LA for extensive period of time.
Everything had a visa and stuff all good.
I just had ESTA, I believe.
Okay.
I didn't need anything else. So I was living there. Everything was taken care of when it comes to food, when it comes to housing, when it comes to transportation, when it comes to.
Oh, so your rent was paid as well?
I was living in a gaming house. Like there was literally no one. I was having a house for myself.
Because the rest of them were Americans, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they were living in their own apartments with sometimes girlfriends, sometimes alone. Everyone had their own.
So you were in a gaming house chilling.
It was like gaming house. There was whole house just for myself, and there were actually PCs. So everyone came to me to play every day.
Okay.
And like we had the practice day, and then they went home.
But that's cool. They went home, and you're like, I got the whole house. Let's go.
Yeah. And there was another thing. Another thing was that the fact how smooth of a process it was. Okay, you come to the airport, they give you instructions, everything's, as I said, taken care of. It's the little things that made it. There was no
made your
hiccup.
life easy. Yeah.
Yes, in 2 or 3 months that I've been there was 0 hiccups when it comes to managing the roster, and that is, let me tell you, that is so rare because shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's random things like someone gets sick, someone is delayed. I don't remember a single time where that happens.
That's huge.
And Soham, Valens.
Yes.
That was.
Valens is a super smart guy as well, right?
Guy.
He's like big time smart.
Yeah. And back then our manager was John. I think he's still in Cloud9. Not a manager role, but he got promoted. And he's like now higher up in Cloud9.
Nice. And your first team was Skadoodle, Automatic, Rush, Tarek, and you.
Tarek, that was just brief moment.
Just brief, yeah, just brief.
Because Tarek left for SK Gaming. Brazilians.
Ah, yes, that thing with him and Stewie went, yeah.
So that was funny because I was caught in the middle of a really weird crossfire because Stewie went away, they got me.
Yeah.
And they wanted Automatic as well. Automatic said no.
Ooh.
And then they approached Tarek, and Tarek said yes. And Automatic was like, are you serious?
Oh, God. So Automatic said, yeah, I'll stay. Let's keep the team together. We can make this work.
Yeah.
And Tarek's like, nope. See ya.
Yeah. And I remember it was IEM Cologne. That was the first tournament I was standing in for them. And after the tournament, we were in the practice room, and we were like, all right, let's practice. Let's use this time to get ready for the next event. And Tarek was like, yo guys, I gotta tell you something. And he made us turn everyone to him, and I was there just standing, like, what is he going to say? Probably something motivational or something like that, right? It's like
don't worry, we can do this going forward.
He announced that he got offer from SK and he's going to take it. And I remember Automatic just stood up and left the room.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no.
I can tell you that was the first time everyone heard about it. It was like in this room. Jesus. Even the coach heard for the first time. Everyone.
Oh, that's awkward as hell, man.
Yeah, I don't know how to react to that. That was weird.
Yeah, and you're just kind of, also you're
just a bystander. Like.
you're just on loan. You're just standing in, chilling, like trying to do your best.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually prepare for the next event.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly realized that I'm a stand-in, but we're about to look for another one.
And then you get Golden.
Yeah.
What was he like to come into that team? Because for me, he's quite quiet. He's young as well. I don't know how that would have worked.
Yeah, I think he wasn't really born leader, so to speak.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was having really a vision for the game that he was trying to push for. It was the Swedish Counter-Strike that Fnatic was playing, and it was always giving problems to Cloud9 boys and North America in general. So I think they were really listening to him, and I was listening as well. It was completely different from what we've had in Mouse. So I was the one that I think took the most time to adapt to what Golden was trying to call, to the point where my loan was about to end.
Yeah.
And they were looking for, obviously, my replacement because I was going back to mouse sports.
So Miles had said, okay, loan's ending. Miles said you're coming back, and obviously they have you on contract. Did you get more money when you were on Cloud9? Or because
it was the same contract. I was literally on loan. Like, they loaned my contract.
So it wasn't even like you got a nice little kick up because the North Americans get more money or anything like that? No.
You have to think about it this way, that we were at the time where we negotiated new contracts was after top 8 finish at the major, and we were heavily underpaid. I think Mouse is a tier 1 team, which even to this day is probably least paid.
I agree. From what I've heard, and I don't hear too much like it, there's no players on their current roster that's told me. From what I heard and what I know around Mouse, it's very much, they're probably one of the lowest, if not the lowest paid orgs in tier 1, and that's how they build it, by taking risks, growing players up, taking some of the younger players. And it's worked out for them. They've made a successful business from it, right?
I mean, it's not like a money, like when you're at this kind of tier, you will always have enough to live good.
Yeah.
It's not like that 1K eventually is going to be the difference maker, but it feels nicer to know that you're valued what you're supposed to be valued.
Exactly. All right, we've got a fair bit of your career still to go through when it comes to this timing. You did do a major though. You did do Boston 2018, right? Katowice of 2019 with these guys, but this was, I guess, a flop. 12 to 14. Do you consider it a flop? Do you consider it okay, considering what you had?
Which major was this?
Katowice 2019.
That's not a major, is it?
Katowice 2019 was a major. Oh no, this was the London major.
I wasn't there. London major, I played with Cloud9.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
London major, you played with Cloud9. You qualified them for Katowice.
I don't think that was a flop. I think we were just a bad team at that point.
Okay.
Like, we were just.
So you already knew.
Yeah.
And this was just before you were going back, right?
Yes, because look at the Mouse performance. That's even bigger flop.
Where did Mouse play?
They didn't win a single game.
Oh damn, 16th.
And that means, you know what that means?
Sorry.
Last place at the major means you go back to open qualifiers.
Oh no.
So they brought me back and we had to grind again through the qualifiers for the next major, which was
and
again
you didn't
in
make it.
February. And
yeah.
We did not make it, yes. And that was the last point.
That was why you were saying back and forth. Yeah, you didn't make it to Katowice.
And
Jesus.
And that's when the team fell apart. They decided to keep just Chris J, Ropes, and maybe just them two, I'm not sure. And Oscar went out, Chris J stayed, they took Frozen.
Yes.
And I replaced Frozen on his old team, which was no chance at the time, and I had no orc for a brief period.
So this was crazy, right? Because I guess going into that Katowice qualification, you were quite confident. You'd gone through the top seeds when it comes to the closed qualifier. You go into the European minor and you go out 5th to 6th. Oh, it's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't good back then. I feel like that
the
snacks period really broke the team in a sense. Like, they lost a lot of structure, I would say.
Yeah.
And players became individually worse under snacks.
Really?
I think so.
Let's see. So the roster then.
They did not really recover from that. I think Chris J was having a rough period back then. Even Oscar, it felt like he was not the Oscar I knew when I was in Mouse.
So too much change came.
Yeah, they won the ESL Eurofair, to be fair, but that was like
a crazy event.
It was like they played like 4 events with Snacks. They won 1, and then last place on like 3 others.
Yeah, and that's it. Everyone talks about that one because it's Snacks Hungry in the Big Apple moment that Sadakis gave us.
No, he was playing still in Virtus Pro, and that was the moment on Virtus Pro. But it was a Chris J ace.
It was a Chris J ace. That was the one. Yeah, that was the Chris J one.
Wolf of Wall Street.
That's the one. I couldn't remember which line it was. That was the one it came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you think about it, the Snacks era was not that great. Just that one.
It wasn't. Like, players hated it.
They beat the North American team though, right? They beat Liquid in the final, wasn't it? Was it Liquid?
Yeah, that was a huge.
That's what's even crazy. They beat Liquid on home soil.
In Faceit London when they went 0-3, last place. I met Robs and Sonny in the lobby when they were about to leave for the airport back home. and they were not happy with what is happening in the team
Oh,
already back
no.
then, and that was before they won.
But you were
Yes.
saying management was making these kind of decisions, right?
Yep.
Okay.
They wanted Dennis. They were the ones that wanted Snacks.
Yeah.
There were other names in the mix as well. I think at some point they were interested in Esperanto.
Ooh, was up and coming name.
Yeah, I mean that would be a
Bit of a
Crazy.
messy player. but yeah.
crazy sign there.
All right, so you removed from Mouse, right? And
Yeah.
this time it's the final end. There's no contract anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, I was still contracted
Are you still contracted?
because
They let you go to no
they let
chance?
me. They basically benched me until the end of the contract. So like
Okay.
that's another.
Was that one
10
way?
months.
Was that one way you still got 50% money or something like that?
Yeah, 50%.
Okay, I'll take that.
I think that was 50%.
But you were able to. They let you join no chance because it wasn't an org.
Perfectly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Michael Ailey's the one that first let you want to try out for this, right?
Yeah.
One hell of a funny character, and
Yeah.
you get to join him and Devilwalk, who are great friends.
Yes.
And they would make a lot of fun. Devil would make a lot of crazy tactics. Firstly, it was you, Zen, Nookie, Crystal, and Devilwalk coaching, right? And Michael Ailey.
I think you're remembering it better than I am because it was a period where it is a little bit hazy for me.
And it was also a period that they went through a lot of changes. There was a lot of in and out because you didn't have
I mean, there was no org. So
Yeah,
if,
so it's
if
like,
people
if
get
someone
poached,
leave,
they'll get for free.
And this was great because, not great for you guys, but great for the other teams because you had a coach like Devilwalk working with some young players and some unexperienced players. Obviously, this isn't you or Michael Ailey at the time, but like, he's leveling people up. You guys would have some good online results. Players would go.
Yeah.
Then a new player would come.
This is something that I think a lot of people won't do nowadays, where they actually play without salary.
Yeah.
And actually try and actually practice every single day and play in tournaments, and you have a coach, and you're not salaried.
We did it on Bad
But
News Eagles.
if you look at this period, every single player from those rosters, the iterations of the rosters, they eventually made it to a salary team. Even Nookie, okay, not in CS.
He went to Valorant, right?
But he was pretty good at Valorant.
Yeah.
So he wasn't he at G2 Valorant or something like.
I can't remember, but I know
He was on a
he
good
went on to
team.
have success.
Yeah. And all the other team, obviously we stuck together, and Zen, Crystal, me, we were part of then, we were gonna say Smash, Godsend, FPX, but even players like Thomas for a brief period of moment, he's into the bridge until this day. He made it top 8 at the last CSGO major. There was,
I
who was
remember
there?
meeting
Madden. We found Madden.
I remember meeting you guys in the Berlin minor because that was my
Yes.
first major I ever got to work.
Yeah, we were there and we beat Mouse.
Yes.
In the opener game. In the end, we didn't qualify because, well, it was hard to play against good teams that had budgets. Good players.
So we can quickly go over these ones. Smash was a bit of a terrible org.
Yeah, we were there for 2 months because we signed just like a tryout contracts.
And they weren't really...
No, like, they were happy with us, but we were like, not happy with them at all.
Yeah.
And we were like, thank you, but we'll look elsewhere.
Then you got an offer on Godsend.
Yep, that was
Obviously,
one.
Devilwalk had a bit of connections there. This is a point where Madden joins you as well. At one point, you had Farley and Emmy as well.
Yes.
So,
We were looking for IGL for a majority of that period because, especially in FPX.
Yeah.
Because we got an offer from FPX, but Crystal didn't go with us. He wasn't part of that deal.
Why?
I think we were looking to change.
Okay.
In general.
But because he wasn't good enough for what you wanted, wasn't the style you wanted?
I think we were hitting like a development ceiling, I would say.
Okay.
I think there was a lot of plateauing when it comes to style and how we want to play. And individual output was also getting worse and worse.
Okay. FPX, though, obviously is a big Chinese organization, if I'm right.
Yeah, I have crazy stories with them. I can't even share it right now. But
It's
there's some shady stuff going on.
Yeah, I can imagine that was not so much fun. But you had Chris Javen join you back for a little bit.
Yeah.
Was Devilwalk with you for the whole FPX journey?
Yeah.
Yes. Devilwalk's had some, like, after Fnatic, Devilwalk's had some real rough times, man. He's taken on every project. He's been the nice guy to all the players, but these orgs keep him over.
Yeah.
Damn. So how would you describe just this part of your career? The not really, like, Godsend you would have had a salary, right? FPX had a salary, but it wasn't a great org, as you just saying. This is the highs of mouse sports, trophy wins in 2018, to then quite a few years of what's going on.
Yeah, this was definitely part of my life.
You're growing up?
Yeah, like reinventing myself into something new. I was suddenly becoming more vocal, more demanding of people. I was sharing my vision more. I was still not playing like a star positions, so to speak, but I had to fill in for those players in star positions when it comes to like pushing a vision how we want to play. Yeah, so it was a lot of development from my side, and this is where I think I flourished the most and I grew the most.
And did you think you grew the most because times you didn't have salary, times you had to put more work in, times were tougher?
As I said, I was the only one getting the salary because I was still in all sports.
But you weren't for the whole time, right?
No. It was to the point in minor when we had to play the opener game against Mouse. It was a conflict of interest. Like I can't play against my.
So they had to cut it then.
Day before the minor game, we sat down and it was like, okay, we will let you go for free now, and that's when we signed a kind of resignation thing.
Nice. Okay.
And so it was me without the salary for like 3-4 months, but it was no issue for me. Like I had saved up so much money.
Yeah. How was Styko money from those points of where you were? I know it's not like it is now.
It was terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
I think I would be able to show if I had like Steam account here. You can check like workshop thingy market. Your submissions was like, I don't know, a couple of thousands.
Okay, so nothing like it is now then.
Oh.
Damn. Okay.
And then you had even like they were selling graffiti. They were selling these stickers.
Yep.
Team stickers, team bundles, whatever. Like it was more to sell, but in the end, it didn't amass too much.
So you missed out on kind of the peak where the.
I don't know when was the peak. I think CS:GO Major Blast was the absolute.
Blast was the peak, but I think like Stockholm onwards was like when it went crazy, right?
Oh yeah, I missed on that.
You missed on those ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So FPX, you can't talk about how crazy and how bad the situation is.
The players were good, but the org
was terrible.
For a reason, they're out, I think.
Yes, yeah. And they tried to come in many ways, but it wasn't going to happen. Then, when FPX falls apart, you had basically like a 4 months break. 4 or 5 month break. What were you doing at that point? Just looking for a team?
After FPX?
Yeah.
No, it was just a 1 month break, I think.
So, at least I'm going from Wikipedia here.
Yeah.
You were inactive from the. Oh yeah, okay. So, but you were inactive. So that's the point. You were inactive on Fun Plus Phoenix, and it's 3 months before you join Apex.
Yeah. So.
But were you still
in
paid
November?
FPX?
In November, we decided, okay, FPX is going to shut down.
Okay.
We're not going to play anymore. And
so they didn't pay you.
I don't think so.
Well, they had to.
I think contract was until the end of the year, so they had.
Okay.
Then there was a player break, and right after player break, Apex started.
Now Apex starting, it's a new organization in a sense, right? It's not one that's got a history, but it seems to come from a good place. I've heard at least positive things about this.
Yeah.
How was your initial dealings with them, initial experience?
I was super happy. I was joining a team that was trying to facilitate a lot of good things for us in Norway. It's a like family-sized org, I would say. There's not a lot of people, and everyone, when we were boot camping, everyone is literally sitting in the office.
Oh
so
shit! Everyone's just around.
Everyone is there.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And as well,
it must be nice to boot camp in Norway as well. Norway's a lovely country.
It is, but it was a COVID time. And that was challenging, but they still made it work. You know, like they made sure that we have solo rooms. When we arrived to the boot camp, they tested us every time. If we had a problem with COVID, that happened, we played from quarantined zone in the boot camp, so we were still together, but we were not together. Everything was smooth for the experience that this org had. I was surprised. When it comes to players, it was different. Obviously, we had good names on the paper, but we had also some new ones, and that was a roller coaster.
You say good names on paper.
Yeah.
The original Apex you joined was Asilian, Nork, Jacob, Chauzy, you, and Polly as coach.
Yeah. Obviously, we have Jacob And
this was when Asilian was still in-game leading, right?
Yes, that was. He
Which
was the
kind of-
only guy that survived the previous iteration of Apex.
Yeah.
Everyone else got in. Chozy was a big gamble. Obviously, never played on this level before, but I was really liking the pickup because I remember him being absolute monster
Okay.
in practice in officials.